Hi everyone, hope you are doing very well today and welcome back to the channel. Today is a very exciting day because I'm going to be making another tier list for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now as you guys saw from the title, this is going to be another heroes and villains tier list. I know previously I've already made a tier list covering each hero and villain, but I only based that off of their capabilities in the game mode Heroes vs Villains. For this tier list, I'm going to be ranking only the lightsaber characters based off of their dueling capabilities in Hero Showdown. And if we also take a look at the tier list, you guys can see that I have also included two characters who do not use lightsabers. The reason why I did this was because you unfortunately have to play one blaster character to win all 3 rounds of Hero Showdown. So I went ahead and picked my best blaster character for both sides. Now I want to also explain how I'm going to be ranking each of these characters. As I said previously, this tier list is strictly for 1v1 duels only. Each of these characters below can most definitely win any matchup, but I do think some can outperform others. I will be discussing each character's stamina, abilities, and health to help narrow down what makes characters stronger than others. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the tier list. So first on our list, we got Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one. I'll first talk about his strengths. Anakin has some of the best combo abilities out of any other lightsaber character. What I mean by this is if you're able to catch any enemy with pull dominance or heroic might, you can follow up with your other ability and get a couple lightsaber attacks in. His third ability, Passionate Strike, can hit through an opponent's block, allowing you to deal that final swing, or it can pause the enemy's health regeneration. Anakin also has the highest amount of health out of any other light side character if you put on his Tenacious Star card. I want to also mention, if you guys would like for me to go over what I think are the best star cards for each character, please let me know down in the comments. Overall, Anakin is very strong, but he does have some weaknesses. On paper, his abilities do seem very strong and viable when it comes to dueling. However, if your opponent is smart enough to block both of your force abilities, you're not really going to be getting a whole lot of value out of them. His lightsaber attack speed is also slower than some of the other lightsaber characters, and what this means is when you attack, your opponent has more time to react to your swing, allowing for them to parry you or counter you with one of their force abilities. His stamina isn't the best either, but it's not the worst. If you're too reckless with your attacks, you can drain your stamina very quickly and be left defenseless. Now with all that, Anakin is very fun to play and has lots of potential in the right hands. When it comes to dueling, he definitely isn't the best, but you can still dominate with him. So with that, I'm going to be putting him in the B tier. So next on our list, we got Darth Vader, the Giga Chad of Battlefront 2. Now when it comes to his strengths, my list can go on for an hour, so I'll make it brief. I'll start with his 3 insane abilities. The best of his 3 abilities is his Focused Rage. This ability gives him 4 buffs. Yep, you heard me correctly. 4 buffs. You get extra health, extra attack damage, damage reduction, and reduced stamina consumption. Once you activate this ability, you're pretty much just unstoppable. Not only that, his second ability, his Choke, can take out 1/3 of your enemy's health, and it also gives you the chance to combo into another one of his abilities, his lightsaber throw. This ability gives Vader extra range for when your enemies are fearing for their life, trying to run away, and it can also hit them in the back for extra damage if you aim it correctly. So that's his abilities, and I'm not even done yet. He has the most health out of any other character in the game. Plus, if you pair that with his Focused Rage, he just becomes an absolute tank. The only weakness I can think of is his stamina. His stamina regen takes quite a while, and he can only swing 8 times before completely running out. But as I said earlier, he can just forget about this weakness when he activates his Focused Rage ability and just have that reduced stamina consumption and just not even care. So without a doubt, Darth Vader is obviously going into the S tier. Next up, we got Yoda, the Grandmaster. Now personally, I hated playing Yoda when I first started playing Battlefront 2. His abilities are meh, his attack speed is slow, and he can get parried very easily. But as I started to play him more, and I learned the correct ways to duel, he can be pretty viable. Now don't get me wrong, I would pick any other character before Yoda, but he can still get the job done. The reason is because of his 2 abilities, Presence and Dash. Now as most people know, Presence gives Yoda and his teammates extra health, but another feature that the game doesn't tell you is that it can save you from certain force abilities. Some of these can include Vader and Maul's Choke. If you get caught by any of these abilities, you activate Presence, and it will drop you right out of their ability, saving you from that extra damage. His dash is also very unique compared to the other characters that have them because his can hit through enemy blocks. So you don't have to even worry about attacking when you have this ability, but you can still unfortunately be parried while using it. So overall, I do think Yoda can win any matchup against these villains. It would just be a lot more of a struggle compared to any of the other characters. So with that, I unfortunately think he belongs in the bottom of the C tier. Now we have General Grievous, the cyborg Jedi Hunter. This guy is so much fun to play with. Now, comparing him to all other lightsaber characters, Grievous has one unique feature, which is his jump swing. This feature allows him to attack at super fast speeds, making it extremely hard for your enemies to parry you. This move is difficult to pull off, and I'm still trying to master it myself. But once you get it down, Grievous becomes a force to be reckoned with. I want to first talk about his one weakness, which is his stamina. Out of all the other lightsaber characters, his stamina is by far the worst, but he has two abilities that completely mitigate this. His Claw Rush does not use any stamina, allowing for him to attack his enemies with damage reduction, while also refilling his stamina. And even if you run out again, you can use Unrelenting Charge, which will allow for you to refill your stamina without being staggered by force abilities. His other ability, Thrust Surge, is the only one that can deal some significant damage, but this can be a risky move since enemies can easily parry it. The main thing going for Grievous is his jump swing, which when in good hands can be almost unstoppable. So with that, I think I'm going to be putting him at the top of the A tier. Next up, we got Luke Skywalker, the man who defeated the Empire. Now with Luke, I think he is the most balanced overall. What I mean by this is he has great stamina, great abilities, quick attack speed, and his health regen is almost instant. If you're just learning how to duel or play Battlefront 2, Luke in my opinion is the best. Now he does have some weaknesses, which are his two force abilities, push and repulse. He's kind of in that same boat as Anakin, where if your enemies can dodge or block them, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of value. However, if you run the certain star card Epicenter, enemies standing within half of the radius will be hit with extra damage. And a hidden feature the star card doesn't mention is that it will still deal damage if your enemies are blocking. So this can be a good way to deal with that extra damage to halt your enemy's health regen, or take out that final bit of health to get them out. His third ability, Rush, is very strong for movement and getting behind your enemies. I'd always recommend putting on the star card that gives him damage reduction when using this ability, so you can play more aggressively. Overall, Luke is very strong, but I don't think he is the best duelist. With that, I'm going to be putting him in the B tier. Now we have Darth Maul, my favorite lightsaber character in Battlefront 2. I kind of see Darth Maul and Luke as the same character. They both have a rush ability, they have very quick attack speed, and they have great stamina. I will say, however, that in terms of abilities and survivability, Luke beats Maul, but Darth Maul can still be quite strong. The only great ability that Maul has is his lightsaber throw. This gives you the chance to deal extra damage and stop your enemy's health regen. His other abilities are decent, but aren't anything too crazy. He's kind of like a weaker Vader. His star cards don't really do a whole lot when it comes to dueling either, besides the increased damage from his lightsaber throw. Overall, what I think makes Darth Maul strong is his speed. I like the aggressive playstyle that it offers, which is why I'm going to be putting him right below Luke in the B tier. So next up, we got Count Dooku, the Master Duelist. Now before I talk about his strengths and weaknesses, I think when it comes to dueling, Count Dooku is the best. His whole kit is designed around lightsaber combat, his stamina is amazing, he has some of the best health regen, and he's one of the only 3 heroes in the game with 3 dashes. Now I absolutely love mobility, and with 3 dashes, I can't get enough of it. As I said earlier, Dooku's abilities are meant for dueling. His middle ability, Duelist, makes him a damage-dealing machine with increased damage, increased attack speed, and reduced stamina consumption. In the right hands, Dooku can be more terrifying than a Vader when he activates this ability. Your health can be gone in an instant if you're not careful. He also has his lightning stun that's super quick and can stagger enemies, allowing for 1 or 2 easy lightsaber attacks. And not only that, he also has his other ability, Expose Weakness, which is to wear and slow down the enemy. Along with this, he has the second best overall stamina and amazing star cards meant for dueling. So with all that, I think I'm just going to put Count Dooku at the top of the S tier. I think he is the best duelist in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, I know I get it, Darth Vader is OP in every way and is pretty much unstoppable and deserves to be at the top, but Dooku is the master duelist, and this is a duelist tier list anyways. Plus, it's not as fun to always put Vader at the top of everything. Now we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Lord and Savior of all Star Wars. I'm just going to go ahead and say it that he is the best when it comes to stamina out of all the other duelists. His defensive capabilities are amazing, and he is a pairing god. His abilities are all relatively strong, and they all pair very well together. His mind trick is one of the best abilities in Hero Showdown for the light side, because it actually allows you to attack without being paranoid of a force choke or a lightning stun. His defensive rush is also very strong at slowly breaking down the enemy's stamina and getting that extra bit of damage in. His all-out push is good, but not the best because it does launch your enemies away from your lightsaber attacks. I will say, out of all the other light side abilities, his all-out push by itself is quite the damage dealer if you can land it. He's also in the same boat as Dooku with amazing star cards for extra stamina and health regen, which is always really important for Hero Showdown. So with that, I think Obi-Wan belongs at the top of the A tier. So up next, we got Rey, the most hated character in all of Star Wars history. Now, I know this may upset quite a lot of people, but I do think she is the best light side duelist. Now, hold on. Let me explain myself before you flame me in the comments. I mentioned earlier that there are only 3 heroes that can have 3 dashes, and Rey is one of them. Once you master the art of dashing by getting behind enemies, evading attacks, and being unpredictable, 3 dashes are game-changing. Her attacks are also very unpredictable, making it harder for your enemies to parry you. Not only that, but she has a star card that increases her stamina, which is always a plus when it comes to Hero Showdown. Now with her abilities, in my opinion, they are some of the best when comparing them to any other light side hero. The reason why I think this is because they all pair together so well. Her insight may seem useless since you're already seeing your enemies, but it does provide you with extra damage to your lightsaber attacks. And keep in mind, she's the only light side character to have an ability that buffs her regular attacks. Her mind trick definitely isn't as good as Kenobi's, but it pairs extremely well with her other ability, Dash Strike. As most of us know, the mind trick reverses your controls and it lowers your sensitivity by a lot, making it much harder to turn. With this, you can utilize the dash while using insight with extra damage to get behind your enemies and stagger them and get a couple hits in. Her dash is also the only ability besides Anakin's 2 force abilities that don't push your enemies away after staggering them. Her stamina is also decent. It's not amazing, but also it's not the worst. Now, I get it, guys. We all hate Rey for our own reasons, but in terms of dueling in Battlefront 2, not the movies, I think she takes the cake for the best light side duelist. So I'm going to be putting her at the bottom of the S tier. Alright, so last but not least, we have Kylo Ren, the wannabe Darth Vader. Now, Kylo, I have a love-hate relationship with. In Heroes vs. Villains and Trooper game modes, he's a blast. But when it comes to just Hero Showdown, I feel I can never enjoy his playstyle. His abilities are very similar to Anakin's. If you can't land his pull or his freeze, you're basically down 2 abilities. The one benefit you do get from Kylo is that you can use both abilities while mid-air, which can sometimes mess with your opponents. But his freeze doesn't even do any damage. Sure, it leaves your enemies vulnerable to attacks, but so does the majority of any other force ability. He does have his frenzy, which is quite strong, because it lets you regain your stamina while also attacking your enemies. His final hit does also deal damage through blocks, allowing you to get that final hit in, or just to pause the enemy's health regen. Thankfully, he does have a star card that can decrease his stamina consumption when attacking, giving him some of the best stamina on the dark side. But besides that, there's not much really going for Kylo. His lightsaber swings feel very slow, and his abilities just feel less viable when comparing him to a lot of the other characters in Battlefront 2. So with this, I'm going to be putting Kylo Ren in the C tier above Yoda. Okay, so now that we got all the lightsaber duelists out of the way, let's talk about my 2 favorite blaster characters for Hero Showdown. Now, as I said earlier, if you want to win all 3 rounds, you have to pick at least one blaster character. I think the best from each side are Han Solo and Emperor Palpatine. With Han Solo, he can have 3 dodges, which is a plus when fighting lightsabers. His abilities are some of the best damage dealers in the game, and his blaster is the best overall at pretty much everything. Anytime I'm on the light side and it's me against the lightsaber character, I'm always confident I'll have a chance at beating them with Han. Now with Palpatine, you guys already know he is my main, and the main reason why is because of his mobility. His dodges are the absolute best out of any other character in Battlefront 2. His lightning attack is great at chipping away your enemy's stamina, and it has lots of range. His 3 abilities are decent, but the best one would be his Dark Aura. This ability deals damage to anybody within his radius, regardless if they're blocking or not. His Chain Lightning can also guarantee a good chunk of damage if you can land it, and his Electrocute Stun is always nice for a quick getaway or an opportunity for extra damage. So these 2 characters, in my opinion, will be the best for dueling game modes. They have high survivability, their mobility is amazing, and their abilities are pretty strong. You may not survive every matchup against a lightsaber, but picking one of these 2 will guarantee you a decent chunk of damage against your opponents. So that's it, guys. This is my finished tier list for the heroes and villains in Hero Showdown. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. I had lots of fun making it, and I'm curious to know how you guys feel about it. Let me know down in the comments, and if there's anything else you guys would like for me to rank, feel free to let me know as well. As I said earlier, if you guys would like for me to go over what I think are the best star cards for each hero, leave a like on the video and I'll make sure to get that out as soon as possible. We still have one more tier list to make for the heroes and villains, and that would be in Trooper game modes. So until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.